The ones that come in without personal injury coverage, I basically need to get them to work with an attorney. They don't have an attorney when they come to see me. So how would you go about that? I kind of pushed on one. She was like 18-year-old girl, and as soon as I said, we really need to get you teamed up with an attorney before we move too much further forward, and she just stopped coming. So I just wondered how you'd recommend going about that.
You didn't tell her why, did you?
I told her, basically, I'm trying to think, probably not the way I should have.
Why should she if she doesn't know why?
Yeah,
You have to tell them why. So there's two reasons that you have to tell them why. And if you want to think of it as three. So remember, personal injury patients always they need to be told a few things. Number one, what's the reason that they need to consult with an attorney? I don't tell them to get an attorney because a lot of the regular patients, they don't necessarily want an attorney and sue. They just want to get their care and move on with their life.
yeah,
So I'm not going to tell them, I'm not like what you did. Somebody doesn't want an attorney and you said we need to get you to team up. You just created a defensive reaction.
right.
Well, you did with her. She quit coming.
But do I have, do they have to have an attorney so for me to get paid on that? I mean,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's what I'm going through right now.
okay, just making
So
sure.
yeah, that's one of the reasons you have to have them is so you can get an LLP and get paid.
Yeah,
Okay. So, but what you always want to tell the patient is number one, I'd like for you to consult with an attorney for a couple of reasons. Number one, first is just to know all your options. You don't want to miss any benefits that you're possibly getting. So you do want to know your options. Number two, especially if things get complicated, if this problem actually gets worse. So, but number two is to actually have it paid for. If you don't have an attorney, then you're responsible for all these bills. But if you get an attorney, then the attorney can make them responsible. See, there's got to be a pain motivator for them to act, right?
yeah,
That's the pain motivator to forget them to act. How much motivation is there when I say, hey, it's good for you to see an attorney to see what all your options are? That's not very motivating, is it?
no,
So if I wanted to help motivate it, I go, hey, let's see what all your options are. Most importantly, that you're not missing any benefits. And especially if this thing doesn't get 100% better, now you really got a problem. See, I've introduced the pain motivation to it.
yeah, yep,
And then the cost. So one is always healing. I'm always going to do it from a healing perspective, and I'm always going to do it from a cost perspective. So that's what I'm doing. Say, hey, let me just share with you a couple things you need to know about your case. Number one is you might want to consider strongly talking to an attorney, and here's why. I know you don't, even if you don't want to sue, but here's why. Is number one, you need to know all your potential benefits, especially if something goes wrong. You don't get 100% better or you end up with a permanent injury to some degree, you're going to want legal representation to help take care of your bills, or otherwise you're going to be responsible for them. Number two is you also want the attorney advice because they're responsible for the payment and the attorney can make them responsible. And if you don't, you're going to be responsible. And it even gets worse if you end up with a permanent problem to some degree. So I strongly suggest you talk with an attorney, even if you don't want to sue, that's fine. But I strongly suggest you understand what you're dealing with so you don't get stuck with a permanent problem and a big bill. And it's needed to pay the bill also. So if you don't sign with the attorney, so where I can sign with the attorney that the bill's paid, then we have to charge you. So you'd have to pay it. Where if you got the attorney, he would sign off on the bill. See,
yeah,
see, you got to tell him all these things.
yeah,
And then I also tell him the clinical part. And now here's the clinical part is you don't want to miss your appointments because if you miss your appointments, it tells the insurance company you're not injured and they won't pay for your bill also. So you want to make your appointments. You want to talk to an attorney, make sure your bill's covered, not just so your bill's covered so you don't have to pay for it, But if there's any long-term effects from this, you end up with any kind of permanent problem, it's covered with the attorney. It won't be with you if you don't get with the attorney.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Does that make, that's what I'm telling to every new patient that comes in without an attorney. Because most
Okay.
of them, if they come in without an attorney, they don't want to sue.
Right.
They just want to feel better and go on their way.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I understand all that. I'm not telling you to sue, but and then I'm going through that spiel.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I did mention the bill part, but not the other two. So,
You got to mention the bill part and the clinical part.
okay.
You got to mention both.
And is there, I mean,
And
would
let's
it,
face it, she's screwed if she ends up having a permanent problem and she doesn't have legal representation. She's screwed.
yeah. Yep. And I was going to say, is there,
And you don't want to take the case if there's no PIP or coverage
right.
and she doesn't sign with an attorney. You what are you going to do? Just keep treating her and her not paying and she doesn't have an attorney and you don't have an LOP? I mean, she's got to pay for it.
Right.
And then it goes, well, what if she has health insurance? And I don't know what your state law is, but some state laws say you can't bill for health insurance if it's from an auto injury. It's got to be billed to the auto injury.
Yeah. Yeah. And she doesn't have that either. But I was just going to say
Now, one other thing I'm going to add to it is
yeah.
another mistake that you did. And it's a real sensitive issue with I call it like 18 to about 20, I'd probably say 24. They think they're adults and they want to be treated like adults,
Yeah.
but they're not really good decision makers.
Right.
So I get an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20, especially if what? They're living at home. There's no way I'm talking with them alone. I'm having their parents come. But how easy is it to offend them? By telling
Really.
them, bring your parent in.
Yeah. Very easy.
Yeah, they want to be talked to as an adult. So here's what I always say. Like, let's say the patient's name's Mary. You go, hey, Mary, listen. I know you're an adult. You're of legal age. You're an adult. You can make your own decisions. Mary, I understand that and I appreciate it. But I'd like for you to do me a favor. I'd like for you to bring your mom in the next time you come in, and here's why. Is I'm sure she cares for you and she wants to know what's going on. Okay. And if something happens, you're going to want her to know about it. So I'm not trying to undermine your authority. I know you're an adult. You don't need your mom to give her answers. But I'd appreciate it if you bring her in so she understands because she's going to care about you. Mary, just like if you had kids, you're going to want to care about them even when they're adults. You're going to want to help them and know what's going on. So if you don't mind, let's bring your mom in when you come in the next time, okay? That's exactly how I say it. So you see how I still gave her credibility
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
emphasizing she's her own person, she's an adult, she can make her own decisions. I understand all that
Yeah.
because that's
Yep.
what she wanted to hear. And
Right.
then I go to the emotional appeal. But just do me a favor because your mom's going to care about you. She's going to want to know what's going on. And by the way, a lot of times I'm going to get questions anyway. So, just like you, if you had kids, you're going to want to know what's going on with their life. So believe me, I understand you're your own doll, but would you do it for me? Just do me a favor, just have her come in with you. Because the adult's going to be really the influencer decision maker when
Yeah.
somebody's 18, 19, 20, and they're living at home.
Right.
That's the rule. Anytime they're over legal age, 18, and they're still living at home, that's what I'm always doing because they want to be recognized as an adult. They want to be treated like an adult, all that stuff. So that's how I talk to them. And then I go for the emotional appeal.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Um, yeah, so like for her in her situation, I treated her like for 3 days, and essentially I just said, we'll treat people without an attorney for about a week, but we really, we need to get you to find one, or we can help you find one.
That's Ryan. You know how scary that is as an 18-year-old to find an attorney?
Yeah, I could
What
imagine.
the hell are you thinking?
Yeah.
Attorneys
Okay.
are scary when you're 18 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, I got clients that are scared to talk to attorneys and they're adults.
Yeah. My dad won't. My dad wouldn't. And I told him everything I do and why. And he's like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to do it. And he's 65 years old. So,
That's scary what you did.
yeah, I get you.
But I would have went for the parent first. And then when the parent isn't, I'd explain the attorney effect.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you got a real adult in the room now,
Right.
which is going to make it easier for her. Man, an 18-year-old to go out of her way to hire an attorney? Whoa, whoa.
The rough one. I do
I
have a,
wouldn't know where to start. I'm 18 years old. I wouldn't even know where to start. I wouldn't know where to look. I wouldn't know what to say. I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know anything.
yeah.